Our story begins in the glittering, treacherous heart of the London season, a place where fortunes were made and reputations were shattered with a single misstep. At the center of this gilded cage was Lady Eleanor Vance. Possessed of a quiet grace that could outshine the most dazzling jewels, she lacked the one thing this world demanded above all else: a substantial dowry. Her entire future, and that of her family, rested on a precarious and cold-hearted engagement to Lord Hargrove, a man whose calculating gaze never quite met her eyes, but always seemed to linger on her family's dwindling bank accounts. For months, Eleanor had endured his barely concealed contempt, his casual dismissal of her opinions, and his constant, grating reminders of the great favor he was doing her family by taking her on. To him, she was not a partner, but a business transaction, a simple stepping stone for his own relentless social climbing. Every smile she offered was a painful performance, every polite nod a betrayal of the formidable steel she kept hidden in her spine. But tonight, at the lavish Blackwood ball, the grandest affair of the season, the performance was about to reach its dramatic end. Lord Hargrove, made overly bold by wine and his own towering ego, made a fatal miscalculation. In a voice just loud enough for the surrounding guests to hear, he boasted to a peer about the bargain he'd struck, smugly referring to Eleanor as his most valuable, if most silent, acquisition. And just like that, something inside Eleanor, a thread of patience that had been stretched thin for months, finally snapped. The incessant chatter and music of the ballroom seemed to evaporate into nothing. With a profound stillness that drew more attention than a sudden scream, Eleanor turned to face him. She did not raise her voice. She did not cause a scene. Instead, she did something far more devastating. She slowly and deliberately began to peel the fine leather glove from her left hand, the hand that wore his ostentatious engagement ring. She held his gaze, her own eyes startlingly clear and refusing to yield. "Lord Hargrove," she said, her voice a quiet, firm note in the sudden, ringing silence, "I am an acquisition no longer." She took the heavy ring from her finger and placed it squarely into his open palm, her touch as quick and final as a judge's gavel. "I release you from your bargain." Then she turned and simply walked away. A collective gasp rippled through the stunned onlookers. A firestorm of whispers immediately ignited, painting her as a fool, a shrew, a woman utterly and completely ruined. To break an engagement contract, and to do so with such public finality, it was nothing short of social suicide. She possessed no significant dowry, and now she had no reputation to speak of. As she navigated her way through the sea of shocked and scornful faces, Eleanor kept her chin held high, her back perfectly straight. Inside, she was frantically tallying her losses, her family's social standing, her own future, every expectation she had been raised to uphold. But underneath that wave of cold dread, a new feeling was stirring, something faint, unfamiliar, and sharp. The clean, crisp air of freedom. She had chosen her dignity over a lifetime of security, and she was prepared to pay the price. Unseen by Eleanor, a man stood half hidden in the shadows of a marble alcove, having observed the entire exchange with an unnerving focus. This was Alexander, the Duke of Ashford, a man so powerful and enigmatic that his mere presence was often enough to silence a room. He was a figure of immense duty and incredible wealth, weighed down by a title that set him irrevocably apart from everyone else. He was attending the ball only out of a sense of obligation, a familiar mask of bored indifference fixed upon his face. But now, he was anything but bored. Where the rest of society saw a shocking scandal, the Duke saw breathtaking courage. Where they saw a woman's foolish, self-destructive pride, he recognized unbreakable integrity. He watched her walk away, noting the single, tiny falter in her step that she immediately corrected, her spine straightening as if by sheer force of will. He had seen countless young women play the exhausting games of society, all of them angling for the most advantageous marriage. He had never, not once, seen one willingly choose absolute ruin, simply to preserve her own self-worth. His pulse, normally so steady and controlled, quickened with a strange and unfamiliar interest. This was no blushing, pliable debutante. This was a woman of substance, and in that precise moment, a plan began to take shape in the Duke's brilliant, calculating mind, a plan every bit as bold and unconventional as the woman who had just inspired it. Later that evening, Eleanor sought refuge in the host's sprawling library, where the comforting scent of old books and worn leather helped to calm her frayed nerves. She believed she was finally alone, a ghost haunting the edges of the party she had just spectacularly detonated. The soft click of the door opening made her jump. It was the Duke of Ashford. He closed the heavy oak door behind him, deliberately granting them a shocking and scandalous degree of privacy. The silence between them was thick with unspoken tension. He was the most powerful, sought-after man in the country. She was, as of an hour ago, a social pariah. Lady Eleanor. His voice was deep, cutting through the quiet like polished steel. It held no pity, only a calm, unnerving focus that she found more intimidating than any anger. You find yourself in a difficult position. She met his intense gaze directly, refusing to let him see the fear that threatened to overwhelm her. A position of my own making, Your Grace. A tiny, almost imperceptible twitch at the corner of his mouth might have been a smile. Indeed, an act of principle is a rare sight in this city. It is a quality I find valuable. He moved closer, not in a threatening manner, but with the clear, indisputable purpose of a man used to command. Your engagement to Hargrove was a matter of commerce. Your future is now at risk because you lack financial power. My future requires a duchess, a woman of grace, intelligence, and flawless integrity to stand by my side as a partner. Eleanor's heart was hammering against her ribs, a frantic drumbeat in the silent room. She could not possibly fathom where this was leading. He stopped directly in front of her, his presence dominating the space between them. I am not offering you a love match, Lady Eleanor. I am offering you a contract, a partnership. Marry me. In exchange for your good name and your unimpeachable character, I will give you my title, my absolute protection, and a financial security that will ensure your family never has to worry again. You will be the Duchess of Ashford. No one will ever dare to call you ruined again. The proposal was so audacious, so utterly unexpected. It was breathtaking. This wasn't a whispered declaration of love. It was a business proposition, delivered with the cool force of a royal command. For Eleanor, who had been facing a future of shame and poverty, it was a lifeline, albeit a strange and terrifying one. To go from being one man's intended purchase to another man's proposed partner, in the span of a single night, was a dizzying, emotional whiplash. And yet, as she searched the Duke's eyes, she saw none of the contempt or pity she had grown used to. She saw only respect. That alone was more than Lord Hargrove had ever offered her. Taking a long, steadying breath to calm her racing heart, she gave the only logical answer she could. I accept, Your Grace. The announcement of their engagement the very next day sent seismic shockwaves through the entirety of high society. The ton was completely, utterly bewildered. The Duke of Ashford, the most eligible and unapproachable bachelor in the empire, choosing a dowerless, publicly disgraced woman mere moments after her humiliation. It was unthinkable. Jealousy and suspicion followed Eleanor everywhere. Malicious whispers speculated that she must have trapped him somehow, that there was a deeper, more sordid scandal at play. But no one dared voice these theories when the Duke was present. His choice was law, and by choosing Eleanor, he had effectively silenced all her critics with the undeniable power of his title. Their new life thus began with the stilted, careful formality of two strangers bound by a contract, attempting to navigate the vast, echoing halls of his ducal mansion and the unfamiliar territory of their alliance. Their new arrangement was a delicate, intricate dance of formal politeness and deliberate distance. They were allies in a shared venture, not lovers. And yet, small, unexpected moments began to slowly chip away at the formidable walls between them. A shared silence in the library, once awkward, began to feel comfortable and companionable. He would find her poring over books on agricultural theory to better understand the management of his vast estates, and a flicker of genuine admiration would cross his usually impassive face. She, in turn, began to notice the profound exhaustion behind his stoic mask, the immense, crushing weight of his duties, and felt a surprising, unwelcome stir of empathy for this powerful, isolated man. The first true test of their alliance came directly from Lord Hargrove. Humiliated and incandescent with fury, he began to circulate a vicious rumor, a carefully crafted lie designed to destroy what little was left of Eleanor's character for good. The rumor inevitably reached the Duke's ears during a formal dinner with several other powerful peers. Without a single moment of hesitation, the Duke rose from his seat. His voice was as cold as ice as he publicly and systematically took apart Hargrove's lie, not with emotional anger, but with cold, hard, irrefutable facts. He defended Eleanor's honor with the surgical precision of a master swordsman, exposing Hargrove's own financial desperation as the motive for his slander and leaving the man utterly disgraced. He didn't do it with the heated passion of a lover, but with the unwavering, unshakable loyalty of a partner protecting their shared interests. As Eleanor watched him, she realized that the protection he had offered her was not just a word in a contract. It was real, it was powerful, and for the very first time, she felt a distinct glimmer of warmth toward the enigmatic Duke she had married.